Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host John, and today we continue with X-Men 97. The continuation of the 90s animated series, and yeah, going right into episode 4. I think episode 4 is a nice filler episode. It showcases how...
It is very filler.
Yeah, it showcases how great the animation is, but like, more or less it's filler. You're like, alright, I guess this is where we're going, it's fine. Every animated series has that. Even every great show has that. So again, it's just fine.
It is kind of weird though, cause like I don't really remember much of this episode.
Yeah.
Like okay, look, it's Jubilee's birthday, and she's upset that like Magneto's like, there's no time for birthdays. Get in the get in the training room.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, that's not fair, and she storms off to her room where Sunspot is at, oddly enough. I was like, alright, I didn't know y'all would like that. Alright.
Yeah, neither did I. And then she and Sunspot get trapped by Mojo. I'm like, cool, deep cut villain from X-Men and Marvel. So yeah, the animation is still, it just again flexing how great the animation is.
Yeah, and I was a little bit disappointed though with like how wishy-washy the situation was, but then again, it is like a filler episode and supposed to be lighthearted, because we'll get to it when we get to it, but like, holy shit, the next episode is just like, fuck.
Right?
But yeah, so like they get trapped, and then I don't know if these were original like games that they had, especially even with the animation. It was like really nice to see, and it did remind me some of it reminded me of like X-Men versus Capcom.
Yeah, I was about to say. We also get older Jubilee, who is voiced by the original Jubilee from the original series. So that's nice to see. And yeah, they eventually defeat Mojo, and I really like to see deep cut villains where people are like, who the fuck is that? I don't know who that is.
Like, don't you find it a bit weird that like older Jubilee is like, hey, Mojo's been trapping multiple versions of us here, and I happen to just be here for the longest, and like everything's nice and dandy. I'm like,
it's like, is that
like
Jubilee's fate? Shit.
Right? I was like, I feel like you should be a bit more like existential about this. But she was very like happy-go-lucky about it. Like even in Danny Phantom, when like you would meet like his older self, it's a little bit like, oh, there's a depressing like backstory to it. But like here, I'm like, she really doesn't mind that she was been here for like God knows how long.
Yeah.
And like she has experienced like almost every trial that like Mojo has thrown at her. And I was like, this is really fucked, and you guys aren't like, oh well, yeah, it's her birthday.
Yeah, and then the other half is Storm trying to get back her powers with Forge, and it's revealed that Forge might have something to do with the mutant collars, and she's like, how could you use me like this?
Yeah, and like for some reason he falls in love with her.
Yeah, and then they get trapped by the owl, and I'm like, I guess that's either another deep cut villain or Mr. Sinister Strix. So I guess we'll wait until episode 6 for that, so until we get to see the end of that storyline, or the middle part, wherever it goes. I hope it goes out well, because I mean I hope it goes better than the rest of the fate of X-Men in episode 5, because as you said, Jesus Christ, like it really pulls a red herring, because you're like relaxed and you're just like, alright, episode 5 really looks like, oh, it's just a love triangle between Gambit, Magneto, and Rogue. And you're like, alright, I guess this is it. And then it's just a interview with Cyclops, which has another love triangle with Jean, him, and Madeline Pryor.
That and Jean kissed Logan, and Jean had, okay, not gonna lie, I found it weird, because like this girl had the audacity to be mad at him for like talking to he thought his wife. By the way, like I feel like it's a little bit understandable with Cyclops here, because he's like, this is the woman I had a kid with and spent majority of my like God knows how long you were gone for.
Yeah.
Like, and yes, there are feelings there, and like it is messed up.
Yeah.
You were gone. he didn't know. He loved, like, for sure, yeah, this whole entire situation is so complicated. But this girl was like, how long were you guys talking to each other? And, like, yes, that's also bad, by the way. Like, we're not letting, Scott off that, Scott free, pun intended. Anyway, but she kisses Logan at the start of that episode, which confuses me. And I was like, you're both horrible people.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, anyway, but that's not. I feel like the writer of X-Men is just horrible at making, like, romance.
Yeah.
It's the same situation with, like, Naruto, but, like, not that bad. But
Yeah.
it's a bit weird, in my opinion. The romance in this show is very
Off.
forced and off.
Yeah. Like
But
Cyclops
anyway.
also says something to the reporter of like, you guys don't understand what it's like to be a mutant. You guys have the luxury of being normal. You guys just keep us at bay. You're just lucky we keep you alive. And you're just like, huh? Jesus Christ, Scott.
Yeah, where did that come?
The reporter's not like, excuse me? What did you say?
Yeah, like, Scott out of nowhere just, like, snaps. I was like, oh, great speech, but the build-up just needed a little bit more work, in my opinion.
Yeah. Your conclusion
like-
had no build-up. Like, hey, he basically did old Magneto. And you're like, where the fuck did this come from? I thought you were trying to be Professor X.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, the majority of that part was a little bit weird, and like, yeah, you see the X-Men kind of falling apart emotionally,
Yeah.
and we get to see Genosha for the first time in God knows how long, and I was like, oh yeah, it used to be like just an island with like, was this like makeshift stuff,
Yeah.
and now it's a full-blown country and on its own.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I was like, oh.
Wakanda
Yeah.
for mutants. And you're like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
also see, you were asking for Nightcrawler and you see him here.
Yeah, I was so happy to see him again. I was like, oh, fuck yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
he is one of my favorite X-Men.
And then, I was
yeah.
about to say, for the first and only time you see Emma Frost and Sebastian Stan, and you're like, I don't know why you guys aren't reoccurring. And then,
Wait,
yeah,
Sebastian Stan was
yeah, he was the guy with Emma Stone.
and the beard.
Yeah, Emma Frost. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
And you're like, I wonder if you guys are reoccurring. You get a definitive answer here, and you're like,
Yeah.
huh.
Yes. Holy shit. Like, you see Cable, like, rushing in. I was like, hey, we just teleported you into the future, like, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he's, like, full-on desperate. And then that's when Jean finds out. I was like, oh, this is my son.
Yeah. Also, you get a cameo that connects this whole series to the MCU. Because you see, I don't know if you noticed, because in the fireworks, you can see the outline of the Watcher. From What If? No? No idea?
I watched What If, but I don't know who the Watcher is.
He's the guy who could never intervene. He literally just watches. But yeah. Seemingly-
I didn't notice. But anyway, yeah.
But more importantly, Cable's here to try
Yeah.
to warn them. Try
Yeah,
is the
and,
definitive word.
He's just like, I'm sorry, Mom. And I was like, and she's just happy to see him. And sorry for what? And she gets absolutely incinerated. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And there's this Godzilla. And like, okay, not gonna lie. Building up to this review, I did see a couple of like spoilers of like Gambit dying. But I didn't know what the context was though. Like,
Yeah.
I just see spoilers of people like, oh, Rogue, oh, this episode's so heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit.
I-
Oh, he gets real.
Again,
Yeah.
you thought the stakes were who's Rogue gonna choose, Magneto or Gambit? And she ultimately chooses Gambit, and you're like, oh, okay. I wonder how
That's
that's going.
nice.
Yeah.
As long, like, for as much as it lasted, like, alright.
Yeah. You're like, that's
But-
sweet. Going back to Gambit, and by the end, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, but dude, this shit was so fucking heavy. Cause like you're in Genosha, you're seeing like students, families, like kids, like who are mutants playing around, and they finally have their own world. And then there's this monstrosity of a Sentinel, absolutely decimating everything. Pretty much a Godzilla equivalent
Yeah.
for the X-Men. And I was just like, this thing took out so many mutants.
I
was
think
just like,
this show has a higher body count than Invincible at this point.
I agree. 'Cause I'm not sure yet, but like, okay, hold up. Omni-Man blew up an entire planet, like, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
But this thing was a little bit more graphic. 'Cause, like, this gigantic Sentinel bug thing was dropping up little like Sentinels. I was
yeah,
like, how the fuck are you gonna defeat this? Sorry if I'm talking over, but like this entire scene was so sick, and
yeah,
I loved it. Like the stakes were so high. I was glued to like my seat, and I'm like white knuckling it. I was just like, oh shit.
yeah. And like
Y'all
Magneto
up.
has a moment where you think he's rallying because he sees a statue collapse and fall on like God knows how many people, and he's like, "They shall be avenged," and he starts throwing shit, and you're like, "All right, Magneto's gonna carry the day." Totally
Yeah.
wrong.
By the way, I don't know why. I have a bit of an argument here. Like Magneto is classified as a Omega level mutant.
Yeah,
Why isn't Gambit an Omega level mutant? Considering his powers, he could touch anything and make it into a bomb. And like depending on how big it is too. Like if he touches something big, it will fucking make a really big explosion.
yeah,
Why isn't that an Omega level threat? Because Wolverine is an Omega level threat.
yeah.
But he has claws and he regenerates.
I'm not sure. I forgot how the system works, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, because like again, like the Sentinel didn't analyze him as a Omega
Omega
level
level,
threat.
yeah. It does to
Oh.
Magneto, and you're like, Magneto's gonna make it, right? And then he's trying to fend it off, and he blocked Rogue and Gambit, and he just
And our
apologizes.
favorite character, Leech.
Yeah. And he apologizes to the one Morlock in Hebrew, and you're like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? What do you mean I'm sorry? Or be not afraid, and he just dies, and you're like, there's no fucking way. I don't believe it.
Dude, I feel like there is that is fucking way. Like, you know, like, we had this whole drama. And by the way, like, like, foreshadowing with a song when Rogue and Magneto were dancing. It was a Happy Nation song.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. The foreshadowing. Like, I didn't notice it was gonna happen, but, like, the fact that they played the song before it happened, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's really sick. Anyway, yeah. So Rogue and Gambit, like, you know, go at the monster. Rogue gets mad, and Gambit tries to save her. And like, as she before she like fucking gets, you know, incinerated, and then he gets stabbed in the process. And that was his like last act, that he like touched the gigantic Sentinel and blew it up from the inside. I was like, Magneto, my dude, you could have just grabbed him, dropped him on top of it, and let's let him do his work.
Right?
It's a great sacrifice, but I say, bullshit. Because like, you could have finished this fucking problem in a way easier manner. I was like, what?
Right?
But did
What
they
did-
say that there were more than just one though?
One what? Sentinel? Big Sentinel?
Yeah, like if I remember, like somebody was like, did like a scout, and it was like, there's a lot of them.
I think they meant just Sentinels in general. I think Big Boy is just like the ultra level Sentinel.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gambit sacrifices himself, and Rogue closes the episode with saying, I can't feel you. And you're like, why does Marvel like to do this? Fuck.
Yeah. And I do love the direction that they went with this. I really do. Sorry, I have a little bit of complaint to the sacrifice, because I was like, again, if somebody who just, or Nightcrawler, popped them into like maybe the inside of the thing and just like, boom, you know,
Right? I
and then
thought
teleported them out before the thing blew up.
Nightcrawler was about to bite it too. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He just got here.
Yeah, I was like, wait, we already lost Emma Frost and the rest. This is what I'm saying though. It's like, I think, because like cable is like popping up here and there,
Hmm.
and like I feel like they have to go back in time.
Yeah.
They're gonna go back in time. Like they're gonna start fixing shit because like the shit with Jean or like what's her name again?
Madeline Pryor.
Yeah, Madeline Pryor. She her entire problem is not yet resolved, so we have to know that at the end of that. And like there are so many things that I'm like, you can't continue the story without these people. I'm sorry. This is like a shock factor
Yeah.
episode. I'm calling it now. I love it. I really do, and I love it that you showed us the stakes. But I'm just calling it now. There's a shock factor. You're gonna have like a reset button where you're like everything's fine and dandy.
Right. You're like, oh, look who's back. It's Magneto and Gambit, and hopefully everybody else. But yeah, I am surprised they pulled off one of the darker chapters in X-Men comic book history, which is the massacre at Genosha. Like throughout the episode, I was like, there's a reason why Genosha's not a thing for so long. And then I remembered, and I'm like, wait, holy shit, Jesus Christ, there's no way. And then Disney was like, yeah, there's a way. Here you go. And you're like, oh my god, didn't expect
Why are you
that,
showing me this?
right? But yeah, I saw a comment on YouTube being like, I think this is the bloodiest Disney Plus animated series ever, in terms of like blood and body count.
I would say that one episode of What If with like Marvel Zombies was pretty bad.
Still haven't seen What If. I've seen a few episodes, but I haven't gotten to the zombies one.
Yeah, but I guess it's like a What If episode, so it's like the impact's not really there. While here it's like a continuated series, or I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we're losing a lot of people. So yeah, I kind of get where they're coming from.
Yeah. But yeah, I got if this was the end of the season 1, I'd be like a 10 out of 10, to be honest. Good job.
I agree. We're doing like, well, Rogue will just go Rogue.
Alright. But yeah, man, what a amazing episode to end the half of the season on. I think there are 10 episodes in general, so if this is the halfway point, what an amazing midway, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else to add before we wrap this up? I have nothing to add except for what the fuck?
Yeah, like sure, like excuse my complaining and all that, but like all I gotta say is that I still do enjoy the show and I still love it. There are some like places where I'm like, I feel like that could have been done better, but oh well, no well. But other than that, I am fully enjoying the show, and like if you're a fan of the X-Men, please watch this.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're here to find out if like if it's a good watch, it's a good watch.
Fuck yeah. Like episode 4 might give you a red herring of like, I guess it's just a bit light now and then again, and then you see episode 5, you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, why?
Yeah.
How?
It's Attack on Titan all over again.
Right? This time with just giant robots instead of giant naked people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been our video for X-Men 97 episodes 4 and 5. What do you guys think? Comment down below. If you like our videos, please leave them a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments and our reactions to trailers, and Spotify to hear us on the go. In the video, I'm Ens Wolf on Letterboxd, and Zoho does voices on TikTok. Where can I find you?
Oh, you can find me at JomJuM_ on Instagram. It is my
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye everybody.
Joe.